Huawei is back in the game again with the Huawei P50 Pro. This phone was launched in Malaysia yesterday actually, and it is priced at 4,199 ringgit. We were harsh with Huawei products in the past, and I think they kinda deserve better this time around. So in today's video, let's take a look at this brand new P50 Pro and see what it actually has to offer. So for this review, we'll also be splitting it into a total of 6 different points, but we'll give a lot more emphasis in terms of software because it's very different compared to its predecessors. You can click down here to the timestamp if you don't care about the phone itself, but you just want to know about the software. Starting off with the design. Okay, this design here, I'm honestly not a fan of it. To be honest, this ellipse with the two circles at the back here alongside with the glossy glass back, it's just not my taste, and I really want it to be a matte finish. This kind of just, I don't know, it looks like they want to do premium but in an old-fashioned way, if that makes sense. Other parts of the phone remains the same as any other Huawei premium phones that we reviewed previously, so you still have the double curvature from the back into the frame and also the front glass into the frame. And speaking of the display, now this is a fairly good display, I have to say. It's an OLED screen measuring at 6.6 inch and having a resolution of 2700 by 1228 pixels. And it also goes up to 120Hz refresh rate. What I don't particularly like though is the curvature of the screen that curves into the frame that we mentioned previously. Now this is exactly the same as the P40 Pro, or was it the Mate 40 Pro that we reviewed last time, and I still don't like it. Finding screen protectors for this phone is gonna be a pain, and light reflection is always visible on either side of this curvature here, which is very annoying. And one thing that I want to highlight here is that when I unboxed this phone, I immediately headed into the settings menu and checked what's the resolution and refresh rate that it's using. And to my surprise, it's using smart resolution and dynamic refresh rate by default. I immediately lock it down to the highest resolution and also the highest refresh rate possible. And now for the cameras. Oh boy, where do we begin? Okay, here's a quick rundown of the camera specs. There are a total of 4 different cameras on this phone here, but we'll get into the black and white sensor later. The main camera actually takes fantastic, good-looking pictures indoors and outdoors alike. I mean, I don't expect anything less from a phone of this caliber, and sure enough, I'm not disappointed. I'm quite happy with all of the pictures coming out of this phone. The dynamic range is also quite good. However, taking the same picture with the ultra-wide camera reveals a different level of dynamic range, and the colors do look a little bit different, particularly with the trees. Though credit where it's due though, at least the white balance is consistent. Now for the 3.5 times telephoto zoom camera, this is quite disappointing. Pictures appear to be soft and sharpened through software, and it is most apparent because the dog's fur looked like a blotch of sharp ink. And now back to the black and white sensor. I honestly don't care about the black and white sensor at all because I don't think it contributes anything to the photo at all. I took 2 pictures in extreme darkness in my room, one covering up the black and white sensor and the other one without. Both pictures appear to be the same and identical to my eyes, and honestly I don't see a point of having that black and white sensor. From what I can find out, it is only used to take monochrome pictures, and there is a mode for monochrome pictures, but I think that's just way too niche of a use case to justify its existence. For the performance side of things, I'm honestly not gonna highlight much here. The P50 Pro does come with a Snapdragon 888 chipset, and it's going to perform just like any other Snapdragon 888 phones, but this one only has 4G support. I have no idea why Huawei decided to make this P50 Pro 4G, since 5G is already around the corner in Malaysia, and Huawei was also the first one to push mid-range 5G phones a year and a half ago. So what the hell are you thinking? Now for the battery life, this P50 Pro does come with a 4360 mAh, not the biggest in terms of battery capacity, and it definitely doesn't give you the best battery life at all, and we can only get about 9 hours in our battery life test. And of course, that is mostly due to the Snapdragon 888's inefficiency, and that causes this phone's battery life to just suffer. As for the charging time, the Huawei P50 Pro does come with a 66-watt proprietary charger that charges from 15 to 100% in about an hour. And honestly, I think that's just pretty slow for this kind of speed. Now is the most interesting part, the software. The Huawei P50 Pro still comes with EMUI, now with version 12.0.1. It's filled with a lot of random app shortcuts that I cannot disable or remove, and it still doesn't have Google mobile services, but that is not the point for today. Huawei has been developing their own mobile service for a long time right now, and some parts of it is just very obvious that they have upgraded, like Petal Search for example. It used to be only an aggregator of links to external APKs that you used to download from the Google App Store, but now it has evolved into something like the Google Now cards. There's even Petal Maps, which is an alternative to both Google Maps and also Apple Maps. And then there's also some other ecosystem integration, like if you own Huawei products, laptops, tablets and stuff like that, you can integrate all of them and interconnect them so that you can share your screen to work across devices, just like Apple with their Macs, iPhones and iPads. And since we brought up Apple, we should also point out that Huawei seems to have just copied Apple's iPhone's control center. It just looks and feels very similar. Other than that, the settings menu remain the same, just like other versions of EMUI, if memory serves me right, and I'm okay with this. However, it seems like Huawei is going to push an update to the P50 Pro to change it from EMUI to Harmony OS. We're not sure when that's going to happen and what will change when that update arrives. And so finally, for the price of 4,199 ringgit, do I recommend you to go out and buy the Huawei P50 Pro right now? Absolutely not. You need to know what you're getting into before purchasing this phone, and the same argument like what we brought up earlier, not having Google mobile services, will come back up. Banking apps don't work, McDonald's app don't work, and even Lala Move is not available on the Huawei app gallery. Downloading apps and subsequently updating them is just a hassle that I don't want to go through, and even Genshin Impact, such a hot game, is not available on Huawei's app gallery. And also, this is the only flagship smartphone that doesn't have 5G support. And I mean, we've already tested 5G here in Malaysia, and it is a service that you can go out right now, subscribe to 5G and use it on your own. And hence, the conclusion for this review is simple. The Huawei P50 Pro is actually a decent phone, it's just crippled by the lack of apps. So yeah, that's it. That's all we have to share with you about the Huawei P50 Pro. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Just don't ask me how to install Google apps. Goodbye.